So if we go to the Social Security analysis, we can actually plug in the some of the data here. Say I wanted to work until I was 60 and I'm 62, um, and at my target retirement age for actually claiming Social Security it was 67, um, and my expected rate of return on any investments I'm making at the time, maybe 7% there, um, and future earning income from today. Let's maybe change that to be, like 120 or something, right? Then I'm married, so all that data plugged in, calculate the benefit. So it actually looks like this spouse um, has a difference uh, in they're taking their own benefit compared to taking that of their spouse. Um, so we actually would want to take our own benefit in this case, whereas the spousal benefit would be less, and that would be automatic, so it wouldn't have to be something we'd worry about. But we'd use that. We'd say use the spousal benefit if we wanted to reduce. Well, if it was more, right? And then the spouse here, same thing. Basically, the half of the other spouse's benefit is actually less than their own, so they would both take their own. But say you worked, say a teacher and someone that was in the private sector, there's you'd probably be able to be a higher number here than here, taking their own. So in that case, you would just check that box so that that number's used on the later page when we actually show what that is. But by doing this now at this step, you're actually filling in the number of years working in things. So that is why we fill that in now. So if you go down though, the this data will actually help you to analyze whether or not what year you actually want to take out Social Security. And actually, if you look at the data, it may work out if you're still investing that taking it out at 62 and investing the money is actually better. It'll actually help you end up with more money in the end. That said, there are special considerations like when you want to take out maybe have some years where you have low income, so you can do some Roth conversions or something along those lines, or subsidized healthcare or whatever it might be to keep your income lower in the early days of retirement. So that's the Social Security analysis page. There's a lot there, so take your time looking through it. Going back here, though, we're going to see that our ages were updated. So the next thing we look at is income and expenses. So we're looking at maybe add some spousal income here and run our analysis. So right now we're looking really good towards our Monte Carlo, but as we add things, update things, the score is updated. But we'll go into the Monte Carlo in a minute, right? So we've added all of this data. We can enable flexible spending. Our annual income now, what our current expenses are, what we think our retirement expenses would be. So say we bump this guy up, right? That bumps our number down there, right? So let's bump it way up just to see different numbers down here. And it's still really good. Anyway, so we'll keep going. So I have a feeling there is something wrong in one of these fields. Retirement income. Yeah, so anyway, we'll keep going. So if we look at this, we go to the Social Security analysis. Again, I think something didn't work right when we ran this. So save the spouse, calculate the spouse. And now we have a spouse and the main contributor. Okay, so yes, so we have our Social Security amount for each person, how much they're gonna get from Social Security. It also tells us down here that we're actually using the data from the Social Security analysis tab. We have a rate of return that we're expecting, a savings rate of 15%. Maybe we change that to 6, so we're just getting the match. Again, we're doing well on our retirement goal. And this is due to the age of the person and how long they have left. So as long as they continue to pour into their savings, they'll do pretty well. So in the assets page, we didn't really talk about this, but so say you want to look at the Roth conversion possibilities. This person currently has a balance of $90,000 in their traditional balance, and current Roth balance is 0, right? So the person might consider actually just not doing any Roth conversions, and at this point, trying to do as much contributions towards a Roth as they can while they're young. So, but if the person was older, then the Roth conversion analysis would basically help you decide, when you want to take taxes. I mean, when you might do a conversion. Whether or not you want to stay under a certain tax bracket while you're doing the conversions, or maybe if you want to do the conversion during a gap in employment. So I guess there's one more thing we could look at on the Monte Carlo analysis: ages, right? Say your target retirement age would be maybe 50, right? Say you want to retire early. Well, that dropped us way down here because we have a lot less time to ramp in. Maybe 55, right? So at 55, we still have an 82.9%. And hey, you can't do this. You got to make sure you're being fair. So we got 82.8% success rate with that change. Well, that change actually affects how we might do a Roth conversion. So if we look at the Roth conversion, now we have a larger gap between when we actually retire and when we take Social Security. Again, these numbers are all really, really close because we just have very little money in traditional balances. But if you run this analysis again, you see that maybe it would be good to have that during that gap year of low income before you're able to take from your retirement or before you're able to get Social Security to do Roth conversions. And this basically shows you some graphs and shows you when the best possible time would be. It also gives you calculations on your success rate. It may go up if you do a conversion. So this is a good page for that. There's a lot of configuration here that you can do as well. I wish I had a better person to do this. Maybe I'll come back and remake this video in the future. Another thing to do would be on the ages page would be to go to the age analysis. So when I did that last one, when I changed the ages, this is another way to go and do that. So say I want to get in the 90s, I want to make sure I'm in the 90s before I retire. In the success rates, I can change my age there, right? And I applied that change, and now I'm 92%. So the next ones are rates of returns, right? You can change these and play with them and see what makes you more comfortable. Say, oh, I want to put all my money in bonds when I retire. So run that analysis. Oh, maybe that didn't work out for you as much. Maybe you actually need to have your money earn some money while you're retired. So that just helps you to play with these numbers and see where maybe you want to pull out 5% a year, right? So anyway, these numbers, again, I'll go over the Monte Carlo here in a minute, but these numbers fluctuate greatly every time you run it. And then one-time expenses. So one-time expenses are things like you see in the future and you want to make sure you account for them in your analysis. Say you have a couple of kids, they're going to get married and you want to pay for those weddings. They're going to be there, and maybe they're there when you're actually retired. So you can give it a year. How much a year that you're going to incur the expense. It'll kind of tell you if you're already in retirement when that happens, or if you're still accumulating. What phase of your life you're in, and it'll take these numbers into account when it's running this calculation. Okay, so now we're down to a couple of more things before I get down to the Monte Carlo. So we've gone through the Roth conversion, the Social Security, the retirement age. Retirement age is a little bit more interesting though, if you want to look at it. It just shows you a little bit about how much more you might make. Is it really worth making that much more for another year of work, or is 92% good enough for you, right? You can actually come down here and say, I want to retire a little bit earlier. How much earlier can I retire, right? Looks like maybe a couple of years, right? You really want to stay in the 80s, I think, 85 maybe. Anyway, and you can also adjust the Monte Carlo optimism score here. I usually keep it around 50%. Okay, so the next thing is the healthcare analysis. So this tab shows you basically how much you might spend during your lifetime on healthcare, especially after you stop working. Well, after you stop working, because this is based on retirement. It helps you to see maybe where you need to be in order to pay the lowest you can with the IRMAA surcharges and things to keep you from hitting certain numbers, right? So if you change these numbers, then it changes how much that IRMAA surcharge might be, right? So I think 140 is one of the magic numbers. No, maybe not for married. Oh yeah, it's 220. 220. Yeah, 220, something like that. So if you play with these numbers, though, you see these things. The red line is actually the IRMAA cliff, right? So you hit the IRMAA cliff pretty early if you're pulling 233 a year, right? And then you look at the inflationary costs and everything that goes along with health insurance, and the fact that medical costs are going up by a higher rate than inflation doesn't seem sustainable to me, but we'll see what happens there. Anyway, that's the healthcare analysis. So take that into account when retiring. But that said, it's still a small portion of the money you're pulling out, even for this person. Okay, Monte Carlo analysis. So let's talk about Monte Carlo. So Monte Carlo is based on 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations. It runs through 1,000 different scenarios for however long you've set aside for your life expectancy, and so that's maybe it's 30 years, right? It runs the analysis, it runs the simulation, so you're going to end up with a bunch of really bad years or a bunch of really good years or somewhere in between, right? And in different sequences and things, right? So this basically runs through those calculations and tells you how likely you are to not run out of money before your targeted death, right? So if you turn on the flexible spending, like we did, then your number goes up, right? That means that if the market's really down, you're going to spend a little less that year, right? You probably would anyway. But when the market's up, you spend a little bit more maybe. And that's what the flexible spending does. And this kind of explains to you that you might have 4.5 years during this time frame where you are spending less than what your target is for your annual spending. Some people don't want that, so they just say no, and they don't turn on that button. We have Social Security here that's contributing after 62, and then we have the blue line as the 50th, the median, basically the 50th percentile. The orange is the 10th, and the green is the 90th. And then we have our growth here, right? So if this person had a lot of money in 401ks, then there would actually be a minimum withdrawal here, which there isn't. So this person just keeps going up and up and up, right? Most of their money is just in their brokerage or cash, because this isn't targeting money in 401ks. So all that said, this kind of shows you how many of the simulations failed. 89% or 89 of the 1,000, so 8.9%. And then how many succeeded? 100% succeeded, 1, but it shows you all the ones in between. So that's Monte Carlo for you. This one thing this looks like we do need to maybe update is how to predict how much money is going to be going into traditional funds as you're investing it, as you're going through the accumulation phase. So looks like we have something to add. But this gives you an idea, especially if you're getting closer to retirement, what the numbers would be for you, right? So if you have a really large traditional or 401k balance, then you would have really big numbers start accumulating over here on this side, which might cause your taxes to go up, which might want to make you consider doing that Roth conversion. But Roth conversions are expensive, so doing things like saving money into a brokerage account at this point might be a good idea as well. Anyway, this is the retirement planning page. There's a lot here. There's just a lot of data for you to be able to use for your analysis. There's no real suggestions that are made by this program other than just giving you the data so you can make your own choices. But there's a lot here, so please take it in and take a look, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.